and the graph has gone really very sharply up, unexpectedly up in the last 4 to 5 years, I would say. I mean, anyway, these two areas were supposed to go up, but not so drastic, maybe. But because such a drastic change has been observed, and in the area of healthcare, I would say this drastic change is more prominent post-COVID. Post-COVID, and it was slowly growing. The graph was going up in healthcare and its attractiveness. But post-COVID, I think everyone became aware of these realities. And here are some statistics some glaring statistics that make my point pertinent in the sense how healthcare has become globally and nationally extremely important for us and what we do with that. So, is this second slide visible? Just to check, there's some glaring statistics. Is this slide visible to all of you? Okay, fine. So the global market size, as you can see, has been estimated at $8.54 trillion in 2024 and supposed to go up to $10.75 trillion by 2029. And its globe adds approximately a CAGR of around 3 to 4%, 4.5% annually for the last decade. And the expenditures, like global healthcare spending stands at approximately 10% of the world's GDP, which is a huge figure, 10% of the world's GDP. Now, obviously, and this percentages are going up drastically, more so after the COVID, where across the world people have realized the implications of their health and the health awareness and lifestyle changes, and also future health planning. So, health infrastructure, personal health planning, expenditures, insurance, all of this have become kind of prominent talking point post COVID, though it is always the truth was always there that healthcare is something which is never which was there 2000 years back, 10,000 years back, and which will be there 10,000 years after also, as long as human beings are there. And India's healthcare sector, specifically, you can see from the figures itself over here, is that India's healthcare sector uh, showed a growth which is higher than the global growth rate. Obviously, because we were the base being small, when you grew at a rapid pace, and especially around the time pre-COVID and post-COVID, when you grew at a rapid pace in the last 10 years, so that growth becomes more prominent. So one of the fastest growing globally and is undergoing a major transformation. Market size and growth, you can see $372 billion, dollars, which is going to go up double, almost double to 638 billion by 2025. And and in just 2 years, it's going to double, growing at a robust CAGR of 17.5 to 22.5% over the last decade. Public health expenditure in India is showing an upward trend, reaching 1.84% of the GDP in 21-22, with the government target of 2.45% by 2025. There is an increasing pressure on the Indian government and all other governments across the world to increase the public spending, public health expenditure, more to spend more on the public health expenditure in terms of their budget, so that the government also to some extent becomes responsible for the overall health of its citizens. And therefore, and in an Indian scenario, because the health expenditures as a percentage of GDP has not been very high to that extent. So there needs the government understands and all of us understand that there has to be a drastic improvement as a percentage of GDP. In between, I just want to tell all of you listeners as to why are we listening to these statistics. The listening to the statistics is extremely important, not only for this area, but for all other areas that you choose as an area of study. Is anyone who wants to study in this field should be aware of where we are and where are we heading and why we are heading that way. Before even we talk about that I'm going to do a BBA in this area or MBA with this specialization, it is very important to understand the figures and the economics and the social and realities behind a specialization and why it is important. And that's the reason why I'm taking you through these figures, so that you have an overall understanding of why this has become so important and where are we heading. Infrastructure and workforce shortages in India. Demand is high, but the country faces significant, deficit in terms of hospital beds or doctors. You must be knowing, you must be, all of us think that there are hundreds of medical colleges and institutions across India. And in spite of that, you can see over here, we need 1.54 million doctors to meet actually our target, kind of international, close to international target for the whole country. So that is basically 15.4 lakh more doctors to meet the target and 3 million hospital beds, 30 lakh more hospital beds in order to meet the target of 3 beds per 1,000 people by 2025. So this is the enormity of the demand and supply that pervades this area. So you can well understand that what is the scope of growth that we foresee in this particular area of healthcare. Digital health, which is relatively new, but the Indian digital health market is again valued at over $8 billion and is projected to reach nearly 48 billion by 2033. Again, 17.67 CAGR. Now, e-Sanjeevani, that is a national telemedicine service, and a lot of us may be aware of Practo also. Again, another telemedicine service, which have become very popular post COVID. And though COVID is no more there right now. However, the methodology adopted during COVID became very practical solution for providing medical service or healthcare service to a vast of our country in the remote areas. And those are similar things which are done. I've seen in my during my stay in Australia also, and how technology has been used very effectively to provide healthcare across a huge country and instead of setting up physical infrastructure, which often becomes very difficult to maintain and sustain. So this digital healthcare is there to stay, and there are a lot of startups which are coming up in this year. Closest marker of digital health, which you can see in your own personal space, is probably digital watch, the smart watches, where you can see how many steps you have walked in the particular day, or your blood pressure, and so many other things that are being made possible through the personal gadgets that you are wearing, and then they are giving indications of your health. There are so many instances of where people have survived because their digital gadgets in the form of an Apple Watch or whatever gave indication that a heart attack is imminent, and they reach the hospital on time and they are saved. So that's a very close example, which all of us, the audience in the audience, can understand because we use it regularly. But digital health obviously extends much beyond the digital watches that you wear, smartwatches, and that's in the form of e-Sanjeevani National Telemedicine Service. Now, India has also become a major player in the global pharmaceutical market, ranking third in production by volume and mostly generic drugs and supplying 60% of the world's vaccines. So, medical tourism is also a significant contributor, with the market expected to grow $14 billion to over $14 billion by 2029. A lot of you do not know, should also know that our hospitals are the major hospital brands in India don't survive only because of the Indians, but also because a huge number of people all across Southeast Asia, South Asia basically, and Southeast Asia also come, and also several areas in Africa come to India for good healthcare offered by the Indian hospital, because costs are lower, and we have setup of doctors and nurses which who take care of them in an optimal cost. So medical tourism, especially from Bangladesh, we have a huge large percentage of tourists who come for medical tourism. So this is basically Dr. Sriram, to answer your question as to what is the current scenario in terms of the stats.
Great, great. Thank you, Dr. Day. But also, Doctor, what I would love, probably given the audience that we are even addressing today, and given the scenario that you have explained, you have what do you think are some of the reasons that business programs with healthcare specialization have become attractive? I know, like about AI, I would be talking about it once you finish up with your presentation. But specific to healthcare specialization, what do you think makes it so attractive? And what is a typical program on completion of which, or what does a typical program look like in terms of the course components? Just so that the target audience here are also able to relate to what you're talking.
Okay, so to answer your question, Dr. Sriram, this stats basically is like the foundation which I built to give uh, an understanding of where and why business schools have started offering programs in healthcare, and not only in India, across the world. In India, you will find very few schools, even now, very few universities or business schools offering uh, specialization in healthcare. But globally, it has become extremely popular and quite common. Uh, the reasons mostly to say, give an overview before I go to any specific figures and all. The reason is very clear from this statistics is that in India, if we suddenly ramp up the infrastructure in terms of hospitals, nursing homes, doctors, and all of this, and when we have such big brands and of hospitals in the scale, in a large scale, it is often we are moving away from the conventional mode of healthcare delivery, which we used to see in our childhood days. That there will be a small doctor's clinic which is serving the purpose, or a small nursing home where we go and we are taken care of, or there are some government hospitals. Now, with this rapidly expanding infrastructure, even if we have to expand in the remote areas, there has to be skilled workforce in many areas. It will not be possible for doctors and nurses to become managers, because they are not supposed to be managers, but they are supposed to be providing the healthcare. Actual healthcare skill is their skill, but healthcare management is not their skill. So we have to make a clear distinction between healthcare provision and providing healthcare management. So management of healthcare has become critical for the government, is that running these hospitals across India in a very efficient manner and financially sustainable manner, expanding the network of healthcare into the remote areas of the country, across the country, and this is a large country. Also, coming out with health policies that are sustainable and workable for India. So these, all of these, and there is a fourth dimension, which is now linking technology to healthcare policies and provisions. Now, that is the fourth angle that comes in, because certainly technology, AI, which you will uh, explain later, has become so very important for healthcare. Now, if we cannot expect doctors now to take care of all of these three, four different angles, and because then they will not be doing their actual job, which they are supposed to do, and they will be doing more of management. So, therefore, in response to this rapid growth and complexity, which I am explaining, and also a point is that the aging populations, which is a kind of reality across the world now, except a few countries in Africa. The large slowly progressing, we will be seeing more and more percentages of aging population as a percentage of the total population. In India, we are still probably 30, 40 years away from that. But mostly all other countries across India, except Africa, are facing this reality. And with aging populations, we will need more of healthcare provisions and structures in place. And a rising medical needs, digital health innovation has added to the complexity, as I said. Diverse job opportunities and excellent graduate employability rates in hospitals, companies, consulting firms, and health tech startups. Now, all these companies suddenly find in India that there is suddenly a huge gap in, there is a demand, huge demand, but there is a gap in supply in terms of people who are, well trained in the management of these areas. Because all these years management has been, business schools have basically delivered generic management degrees in marketing, HR, operations, or finance. Now, suddenly we find that generic marketing may not be enough to manage healthcare marketing. A generic finance degree may not be MBA, may not be enough to manage financial and insurance related issues which a hospital faces. So therefore, there is a need for specialized management skills, and the healthcare ecosystem is because the healthcare ecosystem is very uniquely complex. While it offers, I must say to all the audience, if they, whoever is thinking of healthcare, is that this is one area of which probably stands the test of time, and where there is almost recession proof. You can call it recession proof and guaranteed job. That is one area remaining probably in the world, which provides you a guarantee that there will be jobs and there will be no recession in near future or ever probably. Bridging the gap between medicine and business, which I'm trying to say is that the bridging that gap between medicine and the business principles has become important, and as a result of that, this area has become important. Technological innovation, to manage the technological innovation and to decide where and how I'm going to use all these technological tools that are there, AI, telemedicine, data analytics. Coming about talking about data analytics, the analytics of healthcare data again is a very critical thing now, which is again a separate specialization within healthcare. Is the data healthcare data analytics, which is extremely interesting and attractive career option again. And there are also, I would like to say that beyond all this financial, uh, attractiveness, or the attractiveness of the area itself and the growth of it, there is something also much beyond that, which is something, an opportunity for meaningful social impact. Is healthcare, as we know, we all consider from the childhood days. I've seen, and all of you have seen, we consider doctors almost like gods, because gods or demigods, because they are ones probably who help us to sustain our life, which is the most important gift of the god. So and providing health or life to someone is something which is probably the greatest gift that you can give. And so a lot of people love to work in this area, which has a meaningful social impact. So that is also another attractiveness. And then there is a growing demand for entrepreneurs. So we are all talking about startups and entrepreneurship. Healthcare is one area, probably there is one of the largest scope of entrepreneurship. Even if someone is talking about AI or technology, integrating the technology and coming up with digital solutions for healthcare, is there is a growing demand for entrepreneurs who can solve each and every such micro problem areas within healthcare. So that is something which is making it very interesting. Now, coming to the second part of your question, that what are the different components in business programs with healthcare specialization, we see the following areas. If we can, I hope it is visible to you in this slide, where hospital and health systems administration, I'll say the first thing, that is the first most foremost thing. Students who go out with a business degree in healthcare specialization, they are welcomed by all the known top hospital brands for their ability to plan, structure, and provide sustainable management of hospitals and healthcare services, because it's quite complex, and that is not typically same as managing a factory or a brand selling shampoos or soap. Now, healthcare laws and ethics. Now, when healthcare system obviously functions with a lot of uh, strictures in terms of laws, and there are ethical aspects that hospitals have to follow. Now, individuals who take that particular track and specialize within the healthcare, they have the ability to cover the legal aspects of healthcare, regulations, patient rights, and ethical issues in medical practice and administration. These are things which all big brands have to follow, and therefore they need professionals for that. And that is not, the doctors are not the right person for that, and therefore there is a need for business administration students with healthcare specialization. Healthcare, finance, and insurance, all of us would be aware that we are now in an age where we have to have an insurance, keep us safe from any healthcare hazard in the future. And that has resulted in a huge wave of finance and insurance related issues and companies who have started providing this sort of support to the people. And in the even the Indian government is providing in terms of Ayushman. Bharat, there is a program which provides insurance to the people. So you can see both governmental and non-governmental and private sector actually is involved in this financing and insurance of medical, because it's quite costly when it gets into a complex problem. Quality and risk management of healthcare is another issue area of work for professionals within the hospital brands and healthcare brands. Health information systems and analytics, that all decision making within healthcare is dependent on the right data and right interpretation of the data. And therefore, health information systems and analytics, healthcare analytics is a growing area of importance. And and most every IT companies, consulting companies, and the hospitals themselves are dependent on these analytics professionals who take care of this data coming out from the healthcare and then interpreting them in the meaningful manner. Public health and epidemiology, this is more of about policies. Indian government and several policy making bodies and NGOs, recruit people, recruit business professionals who have a kind of good knowledge about health issues, health policies, and the broader healthcare ecosystem for meeting a lot of their needs. So these are the different subject areas which will be covered in either undergrad or a postgrad business school program with healthcare specialization. These are all the different. So these six areas that I am saying, it may get divided into 12 courses or 15 courses or whatever, but the courses which are specializing in healthcare will revolve around this, more or less, the six areas. And so that any MBA in healthcare or BBA in healthcare, when they go out of the college and actually get employed, they will have expertise in all these six fundamental areas of healthcare management. And job opportunities to speak about, because after the components of the curriculum, the next obvious question that will be there in the mind of everyone will be, what are the kind of job opportunities? So the first one is hospital administrator, manager, director, overseeing daily operations, finances, and staff. Then there are the clinical managers and directors managing specific department within a hospital, like surgery, nursing, or patient care. There are quality improvement manager, like we have QC, quality control, in normal factories and industrial bodies. We have quality improvement managers in healthcare also, who have to actively ensure that the quality adheres to the required standards. Otherwise, there are problems. There it might become a problem for the brands, healthcare brands also. There are healthcare consultants, and including, I think, even the organization, Dr. Sriram, you have worked for McKinsey, also hires people with healthcare background, because they often act as consultant for policy making in healthcare or even healthcare brands. Uh, Management consultant working with various healthcare entities, pharma, digital health, insurance. You can become a management consultant with any of the top consultants. Technology and data area is another area of employment. Health informatics, as I was saying, analytics manager, data analyst. That's a hugely paying area. Health information management, basically a kind of brother sister of health informatics and health information management, focuses on data security, records, and information flow. And then there are, so if you look at it, there are different areas. First, you can say the first three, 4 areas, the 4 areas you can see: hospital, clinical manager, quality, and medical practice manager. They are more of hospital related jobs. Next is the consultant related part of it. And the third part is the areas which are related to the pharmaceutical companies. And also, pharmaceutical companies also need people who have ideas of both management, business management, and healthcare areas, to function as pharmaceutical project manager who manage project in drug development or marketing. I have myself worked in Wokhart, so Nilay gave my introduction. So I had worked for 3 years in the pharmaceutical industry, and there also I could see, like, though I am not a pharma graduate, but I needed to be knowledgeable about different pharma areas in order to devise strategies for the company. So this is basically, this sums up more or less the this growing area of healthcare in the business schools. Dr. Shriram, if I have more or less answered your question and also the queries of the audience who are interested. So, if that is it is done, then we can move on to your area of AI.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you. No, I definitely did have a question on what would be the
Hmm.
career path. I think you've already even addressed that. And then
Hmm.
we have a question from one of our participants named Vijay.
Hmm.
Vijay, I'll probably park this question for the latter half of the presentation because it's very generic. So I assume that uh, you are interested in the School of Business or any other school. And then in general, I'll give you an answer towards the end of the presentation, if that's okay with you. Great. So then, Dr. Day, then with your permission, I'll start off with my presentation.
Yes, yes, sure, sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Assume you're able to see the screen now.
Um, Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute. Visible now?
Yes, yes, now it is visible.
Great. So I kind of rephrase the whole, what to say, the topic to say like, even the topic says a paradigm shift in the business schools, what I would also like to address here in this particular topic of discussion that we have is like, what if our most valuable business asset in 5 years is not capital, but the algorithms that we get to work with? From even what Dr. Professor Day did explain a while ago. And if you notice the bottom half of the slide right now, earlier it was like very straightforward. You just had to interpret the graphs that were available, and then you'll have to come out with any kind of analysis that is based on the graph or the data that is available. It was pretty straightforward. And that's what we were expected to do from the School of Business. But on the right side of the lower part of the graph, if you see the complexity involved, it is more like our brain, the neurons active. And that's a kind of scenario that we are getting into, given the kind of data that we have got to deal with when it comes uh, to the School of Business, and hence this particular graphical representation. And also, like, how is it that we're going to be preparing the next generation of leaders for the new reality of business? The new reality of business happens to be the influence of AI, or how AI is going to be playing a very, very prominent role, irrespective of the domain of business that you're going to be working with. Just to give you, again, starting off with stats, I think it is so typical of business professors to start off with stats, lay the foundation there, just like what even Dr. Day did start off. So the global investment in the AI space is kind of reshaping. So if you notice, just give it. So if you notice, until about 2022 or till 2021, it's kind of a very flat uh, line that we had. But from 21, 22, the mid of 21, 22 is where it started kind of taking off. And 22 through 24, it's kind of rocketed. And I don't have the exact figure for us to share. But what I'm given to understand from some of the people that I've already spoken to is the number is actually doubled from what is actually there, even showcase for 2024. So we are almost approaching about 1,000 billion being invested towards the end of the 2025. So again, it's a further steep curve that we're talking about. And then just yesterday, there was another news article which spoke about the five biggies in the AI space investing close to a few $1 trillion across 3 years, 3 to 5 years in the Indian market, the Indian AI space itself. The industry is demanding a new kind of leader. The reason I'm using the word leader, even in the first slide and here, is happened to be because anybody working with AI or with the influence of AI taking decisions, because AI is going to be more of a decision making tool than what we have seen so far, and hence even the depiction of the graph over there. So the C-suite executives overwhelmingly identify a gap between the AI skills that their companies need and the capabilities of today's workforce of the graduates. This is one of the studies that, while I was at McKinsey also, that we did come out with, saying that the employability or non-employability of graduates. When I'm saying graduates, I also mean the postgraduates, the MBA students passing out, as to the gap between them, and then how is it that we are able to make them billable from with a very, very minimal learning curve. So this has been a constant nag from the industry, and luckily with us, what we are also seeing is the existing business curriculum was designed for a world that is ceasing to exist. So hence with Sai University, what we have also trying to do constantly, most of the people that you see working here as professors, as deans, like Dr. Dey itself, are people coming from the industry, still have connects in the industry. And hence you'll see that there is a lot of adaptability or adaptation that is being done as far as the curriculum is concerned. And with that, what we are also trying to do is trying to stem the diminishing graduate value. So like what Dr. Dey said earlier, it used to be just the core areas of marketing or finance and just operations or HR. But now with the emerging kind of scenarios available and the kind of curriculum that is offered, which is more hands-on, industry-driven. So we are trying to stem the particular diminishing graduate value and also trying to erode the competitive edge that is prevalent. And then most importantly, loss of thought leadership. So which means like you're always trying to be ahead of the curve and trying to see what exactly is happening with the industry, and you're trying to adapt to it at the earliest. So the solution is not just a course or with the various components of a course. It is a new archetype of a leader. And hence, again, another instance where I'm using the thought of a leader is how is it that you're always trying to be ahead of the curve? So first is you start acting as a strategic translator that is typically bridging the critical gap between the technical data, science teams, and the executive leadership. They don't just consume data, they actually frame the strategic questions an AI can solve. Second part, most important part, whenever there's a component of AI involved, is the ethical architect. It makes the data-driven decisions while navigating the complex ethical, regulatory, and societal implications of AI implementation. And then finally, the opportunity hunter. So it identifies and validates the novel AI-driven business models and operational efficiencies, moving beyond incremental improvement of transformational change, right? So again, the whole course can be put into the three brackets here: the foundation, the pillars, and the keystones. That's how the whole program would typically be organized. So the first part is being the foundation. Like we said, the very core value of any business study starts with marketing, finance, operations, strategy. HR, we are leaving it out here. We're talking more in terms of strategy. So for marketing, from the customer segments, we get into predictive personalization engines. And that's how most of the AI search engines also function right now. Finance, it takes a historical analysis and then using the algorithmic trading and AI-driven risk modeling. So we get into the financial risk analysis modeling. Operations, again, the supply chain optimization to autonomous logistics and predictive maintenance. This is what the DHL has already started, and they're pumping close to about another 50 billion in the next 3 years. And strategy, which is like typically from the competitive analysis to building defensible AI alternative business models. Now, going to the next step, that is the pillars. So pillar one, typically we talk about the technical fluency for the leaders. Pillar two, we talk about the data strategy and the governance aspect of it. The pillar three, we talk about the AI ethics and responsible innovation. And the fourth one is again AI-driven business transformation. Yeah. So pillar one, it is demystifying the machine learning. So and also trying to see the large language models and then investing in the AI infrastructure. So focus is more on the concepts, but not just on the code, right? And the second pillar, the data strategy and governance, will be talking about mastering the data value chain from acquisition and quality to monetization and the security aspect of it. The third pillar would typically be on the ethics and responsibility, responsible innovation, which is a rigorous framework for deploying AI systems that are fair, transparent, and accountable, right? And then the last pillar, again, this is last as of today. There could always be emerging pillars, which is quite possible that is always going to be challenging. And what happens in the fourth pillar is applying AI to invent core business functions, product development, so simulation, customer service, and strategic plan. And the most important aspect of it is a keystone is the strategy lab. So we talk all this is the language, the English that we talk, but how exactly do we, or where exactly do we go try and practice all of this? That is where the strategy lab comes into place. So the first step in a strategy lab would be your problem solving. Second step would be like applied AI strategy, and the third one would be on the boardroom delivery. Now, do all of our students get to go through the all the three steps? Definitely yes, be it bachelor's or be it master's. But I think these are very, very basics of what we have to do as far as the AI influence or the AI track in the business studies or the school of business is concerned. So the strategic impact of securing position of leadership, why is it that I've always been using the term leadership, is enhance ranking and reputation. And then you get premier graduate outcomes, which means your package or the average CTC that you get from your placement is actually pretty high. And then deepen corporate partnership. And even the kind of labs that we try to get in are all more of corporate driven. So we try to get projects from the corporate, real time projects, and then start having the students actually work on that. So we are not just preparing students for the future of business, but we are also empowering them to build it. So the very topic is, and hence why I chose the way how I wanted to put this was the paradigm shift. But what I'm trying to say is the shift has already started or it's already in process. And how is it that we can actually enhance our aspect of the human tendency of trying to stay ahead of the curve and trying to be adaptable to the shift that has already happened and also the shift that is actually in the process of happening. Professor, I'm sure I try to make it very minimal given the target audience, and I'm sure I've skipped through quite a few areas that we wanted to uh, address. So, do you think I've touched upon all the topic, or do you think I need to be? Sir, you're on mute. You're on mute.
I think, Dr. Shriram, you have very nicely explained to us, and I also love to see the way, I mean, you have put it very in focus in terms of, in given the realities of AI, the way it is coming, what would be basically expected out of a new business school, graduate? So that is because as opposed to, conventional business graduates, when we actually came out of the business school and current business school students. So that differentiation, you have made it very clear. Now, I just noted down a few questions which wanted to ask you is that, so we often hear that AI is a paradigm shift for business education. And so does this mean the traditional MBA curriculum is becoming obsolete and we are looking at a very different kind of MBA curriculum on our plate? Or should the audience or the potential students expect that MBA in AI or AI related area means that it is not the conventional education, it is a different kind of business school education? Is there a difference?
The dean in you is coming out, Dr. Day. You're talking about the curriculum evolution happening already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is far more than just adding a tool. It is how would I frame it, is it like it is a fundamental rewriting of the core is what is going to happen. So it is not typically like the earlier curriculum is going to be obsolete, but we are going to be rewriting or rewiring of the whole core from elective to foundation. That's how I would probably say. So earlier we had instances where all of these were available as electives, or in the previous decade, AI itself was an elective for data scientists or data science students. But today, it is becoming a mandatory foundation. So it is no more an elective. You don't have an option of whether you want to choose it or not, but it's become a part of the core itself. And we are seeing a shift where AI fluency is taught alongside accounting and strategy as a core competency itself, right? So from our exposure, when we talk to our colleagues from various other universities, global universities, we see that that's how it is happening. It's walking alongside accounting and strategy as a core competency. Like I said, accounting is not now a separate area. It has to be with AI. Strategy is not separate. It has to be with AI. So it's more like this, the symbiosis principle. So the goal isn't to replace human judgment at all, but to teach human AI collaboration, right? So for example, a marketing course in 2026 doesn't just teach the 4 Ps that we are aware of, right? But it teaches how to use the agentic AI to run thousands of real-time marketing simulations to optimize the 4 Ps. So in short, if you ask me for a verdict for the question, it would be like the what, that is the strategy, leadership, ethics, remains. But the how, which is the execution, data processing, and the speed to go to market, has been permanently altered. So that is where the whole shift, or in terms of the approach, would be required from the curriculum point of view.
Okay, so from your explanation, what I can understand, what you are saying is very interesting, is that uh, earlier when we studied accounting, it was just accounting. However, now we are not looking at AI as elective, some elective courses, but how elective becomes now uh, integrated into each and every fundamental area that we used to learn in the first year. In terms of, so we
Absolutely.
cannot say I'm doing an introduction to finance course or accounting introduction to accounting course, but I don't know anything about how AI has taken over accounting. So while I learned the fundamentals of accounting, I also know how accounting now, a lot of it will be done by the AI, and what is my role in accounting now.
Precisely. And also to address the concerns of some of the participants here, uh, I mean, I'm sure if I were a student, that the question that would directly hit me as an afterthought of what I was just sharing with you is like, then would I be looking at AI as a separate component in the study of business studies, right? What I'm also trying to suggest here is a curriculum itself is such that the students would not know like there's an AI component already a part of it. And hence, when they're doing the accounting aspect, the core of accounting, there are already going to be components of AI introduced in it. And then they unknowingly, they are actually even starting to interpret the data that AI throws out from the various cores, the various standard cores that were there.
Yeah, I think it's very this is very interesting because recently I read one article where IIT Delhi, I think, has basically allowed students to use AI for their projects or whatever. But what they require is that you have to clearly state in your project what are the prompts that you have used in
Used,
order to get.
yes.
So I think strategic prompting is becoming again a very essential part of, as you were explaining, is that strategic prompting and also interpreting the response to a prompt that I have got becomes very important rather than.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's right. So following up from that, my next question is that, so what in a nutshell would be the premium kind of skills that a student would be now required to develop in this new scenario?
Uh, if you want just the business person and me talking, it's going to be the shift in human value, soft skills. That's it. Uh, as the cost of intelligence and analysis drops towards zero, artificial intelligence. So our own intelligence and analysis drops towards zero. The value of human judgment and empathy kind of goes on a different tangent. It skyrockets, right? So this dips, whereas The soft skill aspect of the human judgment and empathy needs to go up. This is what we call as the bottleneck shift. That is, when AI handles the scale and speed at which we process any particular data, that used to be the bottleneck earlier, isn't it, Dr. Day?
Mhm.
Handling the scale and the speed at which we are able to interpret the data and then come out with the analysis. That used to be the bottleneck for us. But now the new bottleneck is the precision of the questions asked. So exactly like what you just said, the prompts that we ask, the kind of prompts that we used, that precision and the interpretation of the output, that is what is important. Now, what we have also seen, interesting anecdote that I would like to share with you is like towards the end of the last semester, we had from the School of AI, we had students come and present to us part of a module that they had, entrepreneurship using AI. So we had about 30 sets of presentations happening, and we were sitting as the examiners and also acting as the sharks there. So many of our students did agree that they managed to, or they did use the AI tools like ChatGPTs and Perplexities and Gemini and stuff. Not many were able to answer the kind of prompts that they actually used or why they used it. First one. And second, any kind of prompt that you use in any of the AI engines and the data that it throws out or the answer that it spits out, I think that is where the human intelligence is still very much at play. Is how do we interpret that particular output that it gives out, right? So it is going to give you a number of sets that is available. Now, from that set, how is it that we are going to take the data, or how is it we are going to take that particular output, which suits the requirement that we are going to be presenting? Again, that's our human intelligence which is required. So the core human premiums, again, coming back to your question, where the business schools are doubling down on the ethical governance, which would be like navigating the black box of AI decision making, conflict resolution and persuasion. Uh, AI can generate a strategy, but it cannot, at least as of now, as of this moment, it cannot build the political capital or trust required to lead a diverse team through a crisis. Again, it is a human being that is required to do it. And then, most importantly, the critical thinking aspect of it. I don't think that can ever be removed at all. Moving from being a user of an AI, now we will be more of an orchestrator who knows when to override the algorithm. Again, a classical example that I had used in the School of AI for this particular chapter was an example that we had used. A company is using AI tool to hire a recruiter, right? So the data that the system takes in, based on the data or based on the history, the company always ended up hiring male recruiters, right?
Mhm.
But now the challenge is once we use the AI is going to interpret that that is a mandate or that's one of the criteria that it needs to fulfill because the end result has always been that they have hired male recruiters but not female, whereas that is not the truth. So hence now we'll have to override the algorithm and say like, no, that is not the case. And we are looking at all possible genders and any other demographics that that AI assumes, and then we actually go back and over and say like, no, these assumptions are wrong, and then this exactly is what the criteria required. So at least as of today, it is still in an evolving stage as far as AI is concerned. And if you ask me, I think we would as human beings, and hence the critical thinking component, I again stress on it, we will start ending or we'll start moving from being a user to an orchestrator role.
I mean, it's a kind of very deep thoughts on like, what we need to do. And because recent times I also came across, and in my own PhD area, it was not exactly AI, but obviously a building block of AI is that how social and cultural bias impacts our algorithms. And the one who builds the algorithm is also a human being basically. And then therefore they're an artificial intelligence because we are mimicking human intelligence. They are also not free of the bias that human beings themselves have.
Right.
So we might incorporate like our biases into the system, and therefore the output. So that as the classical Dilbert cartoon, like garbage in, garbage out, might also happen.
Very
So I
true.
think. So I think the biggest role for the new evolving managers to see that garbage doesn't go in, and so therefore garbage doesn't come out.
Come out
So
precisely.
as you have explained. So now, what do you think? Like, as a dean, also, I'm interested to know what changes do you think will will equip new age business schools like Sai University to to be more effective in giving this kind of AI training to the students. What is your vision of how we should uh, change things, or what we should do?
No, I don't change thing. I think as Sai University, we're already doing it in terms of industry engagement, or what I would even call it as um, industry readiness and being an agentic leadership, right? And that's also my responsibility, being part of the career services team, to ensure that we have industry people coming and interacting with our students, and then see how is it that we are able to give them hands on. So right now, we are more of moving towards experiential and real time learning than compared to what it was even a decade back. I'm not even going to what we did as students of business studies, but even a decade back, or even about 5 years back, it's completely changing. We are moving more of experiential and real time learning. Uh, and what I've also observed from the MIT School of Business Loan is like the AI labs and then the live consulting, the kind of investment or the kind of thought leadership that goes into it. So the static case studies from earlier are being replaced by the dynamic simulations and AI labs, where students work with real companies to deploy the agentic AI systems that don't just answer questions but execute the tasks, right? So just to give you a heads up, I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, is we are working with one of the uh, big companies based out of Chennai who are into various products by themselves. And then we are trying to see if they actually can come and help set up their AI lab here. They use a lot of AI tools, and then in such a way, the students from our school or our university also get to partake in the product development of that particular company. And then that will be a real-time solution. They get real-time exposure of working with a company which is already looking at solutions for the various markets, global markets. And another aspect of this would also be, again, talking from career perspectives point of view, is the new career paths that would actually come up with the advent of AI in the business studies. So we would be preparing the students for roles that didn't even exist, I would say, even 2 to 3 years back. Uh, if you ask me to name, I would say like something like an AI strategy consultant, if I'm getting into a consulting role, AI product manager, or the VP of human machine collaboration, or the head of human machine collaboration. These are some of the things that I can think of. All of these things came up when I did interact with some of the industry leaders, and then they were saying that we would. We are looking at taking students from you for the placements, and then probably if they stick with us long enough, and with the kind of changes that's happening in the AI space, which is not just monthly, but it's almost in an hourly basis, to see that students or people or the leaders actually move into that particular roles that I just mentioned. And hence, I constantly use the word leaders in the presentation that I use, not just people there. And then all of these would be lifelong learning models as well, because like I said, AI as such is evolving in a very early basis. So the paradigm shift includes moving away from one and done degree towards more of a stackable credentials that is possible. Uh, so the schools are now providing alumni with AI update. We ourselves have started doing it. So we have reached out to our alumni students and then said, like, we are looking at providing you with the alumni update, and then come work with, enroll for this course. Of course, there is no fee because they are alumni. But then any kind of advancements happening, we wouldn't want our students to be left out because they lack that particular stackable credential. So why not we actually even offer it to our alumni? The model is to ensure that degree remains current in the world that is continuously kind of transforming.
Okay, sir. Sir, there is a question which I think a student had asked, and we had asked him to wait to the end of the presentation because then it would be like the question because was on the internships and placement opportunities support that we can expect from Sai University. And I think as you are the career and placement cell director, I think the best person would be you if you can briefly explain the strategy or the path that we follow, and I can also add in as
Sure,
the dealer.
sure, sure, sure. Uh, I think it was Vijay who had asked that question, if I'm correct. And then Vijay, from the presentation both Dr. Day and I gave, I'm sure like it is also self-explanatory that we are talking about being hands-on, not just with the curriculum that we are talking about, but getting your hands dirty when it comes to the industry readiness. So internships and placements. First internship, let's talk about that. So internship is something that we constantly engage, and we have various clubs that is already in place for various schools, and then we also have university level clubs where we encourage students to come and participate in all the club activities, because the reason being, since I'm working very closely with the industry, even in terms of placements, what we have seen is now gone are the days where the students were just only based on the CGPA that they scored, but they're also looking at the hiring managers or the recruiters are also looking at the kind of potential that a person brings to the table, or how whole rounded they are when they come, and how exactly are they adaptable to changing scenarios. I mean, talking about AI itself is one, so how is it that they're able to do it? And given the scenario that at our age, when Professor Day, don't get angry with me, but I'm for a change, I'm saying that yeah, we are old right now. It's like at this age when we are as professors, we are able to sense what is happening with the industry, the emerging technologies, and how is it that we are trying to inculcate that in the curriculum. The youngsters right now who are now kind of born with AI tools already, ingrained. So for them, it becomes very imperative that they kind of understand the nuances of a possible recruiter, and then see how is it that they're able to present themselves. Yes, so we definitely work on internship. There are one, if you have already have mapped a company and then you'd like to pursue an internship there, and if you have a contact, great. If you'd want us to reach out and then help you with a particular domain or industry, then even there we actually do step in for the internship and even for the placements. For placements, our leadership itself explains. I'm not sure if you have done your homework in terms of going through the board of directors that we have. It's people from all the various industries, and it's not just any person from the industry. They have been there, done that. They have been the industry leaders for that particular domain. Our chancellor itself being one of the co-founders of the NASCOM. And and with the kind of contacts that we have, we try to bring in the best of uh, companies that is possible to come and hire from our school, but also setting the expectations right. We are still at an infancy stage as far as the university is concerned. So the numbers we're talking about is probably not in hundreds and thousands like some of the earlier set universities. But what I can do, or what I can promise, is the kind of exposure that you'll have, the kind of companies that we get in are going to be like some of the best available. Probably they are not a name to reckon with, but they are already creating ripples in the form of being the early go-to people to any emerging technologies that is available. Vijay, I hope I've answered your question. And Dr. Day, anything to add, please?
Yeah, VD and the others who also might be having a similar question in the mind. See, first of all, we have to be very honest, is that, see, we started our business school. Our other schools were existing prior, but business school started last year. So basically, a lot of people come to me with the questions that what is your track record in, terms of the placement? So my answer to you is very straight, is that we are actually not really worried about placement at all and or internship because if you as Dr. Shriram is saying, see, if we look at our board of directors itself, they both coincidentally it happens that both in the areas of healthcare and in AI or IT areas, all the big names that you can think of in India are in our board. So we really don't have to go out and hunt too much, in terms of our contacts or the way that we want to provide internship. So when Honorable Narayan Murthy ji is there, when Mohandas, people like Mohandas Pai, and then and Sunita Reddy madam is there in terms of healthcare. So we must also tell you that we have started last year School of Allied Health Sciences in collaboration with Apollo Hospitals, which is a huge asset, that is the allied health sciences being already there. When we speak about an MBA in healthcare, it means that we have the capability to deliver that real life skills. So even Madam Sunita Reddy is also part of our board, and that makes it. And because we have a collaboration with Apollo, this thing it becomes easier. Similarly, in areas of AI also, all the top names that you can think of who have been pioneers in India, being a technological power, they are almost there in our um, in our board or in our academic council or in advisory council. So we probably are in a very enviable situation, that in terms of our contacts with industry, and Dr. Sriram himself, having been in the industry for such a long time and in the top brands, like we are definitely not in dearth of contacts or internships and placement. But we place more emphasis on all-rounded development, being a liberal arts university on this thing is, and now with the AI, as you were saying, empathy. And so there is a question that someone has asked. So what will be that one skill which will differentiate an AI professional from, business professional with AI background, uh, from AI? As so, if AI is there, and I am a business professional, what will be one skill which AI can never replicate? So you may like to answer that question.
Yeah, I actually gave three, but
Yeah,
the very
yeah, you have
important
already
aspect would
talked
be
about that.
yes. But the very important aspect would be on the ethics part and the critical thinking part. So I did mention that anonymous attendee, whatever your name is. But I think yeah. So that's going to be the very skill that I don't think we'll ever be able to get over with. Sir, even on the chat, there is, I think Nagesh Murari has asked, great specialization, sir. What would be the difficulty if we pursue these specializations in MBA without having a major in the specialization? We are going to have a specialization, Nagesh. So I don't say that we are not going to have a specialization, but what we are trying to say is there are newer areas of specializations that is coming up. Earlier, it used to be just marketing, HR, operations, finance, and all of that. But now we have a lot of specializations coming in. And so you would still continue to do the specialization. And also, let me reiterate that the very first year of your MBA or the second year of your BBA, you will still have the modules of going through a finance, going through operations, and all the other modules. What we are trying to say is we're going to have something that is already being cooked with AI. It is not just going to be plain vanilla finance, vanilla HR, and all of that. It's going to be with a mix of AI as to how things are emerging in these particular fields. And healthcare is one of the specialization we are talking about. Just like healthcare, we also have something like the airport operations, airport management, and then we have uh, now, just yesterday, I think Ashwin, the railway minister, actually did say that we are talking about an emerging thing of railway operation. I mean, separate for the cargo operations and separate for passenger occupations and all of that coming up. So we have a lot of specializations coming in, and how exactly we are going to be looking at the emerging industries or the areas of study, and which exactly is a student wanting to specialize in is what is going to matter. Specialization you would definitely have.
I think he has maybe one more concern, is that he's trying to say that if someone specializes, doesn't want to specialize in healthcare or AI, but wants to, so is it possible to have a knowledge in AI and healthcare without having a major in that specialization. So maybe a person doesn't want to, show that I'm MBA in healthcare or I'm MBA in AI. So is that a problem? Like my my answer to that part of the question would be like you can see the IIMs, which people are considered the best in India, like do not provide any specialization first of all. See, I am from a marketing background, but if you look at my this thing, PGDM doesn't say that I'm a PGDM in marketing or finance. The IIMs never believe in specialization. So you choose your own quota of courses which you like, and that makes you specialized in that area. So you may go in that path also, that without having an MBA in healthcare you might still be knowledgeable in healthcare. What we are trying to say is that these are tracks which you may choose. Now you might choose to have a major in marketing, but along with a major in marketing, if you have done credible number of courses in healthcare, you become more knowledgeable, and therefore when you apply to Astra group of hospitals or Apollo or whatever, you can go and say to the interview board that I have the knowledge in hospital finance or regulatory laws or hospital operations. So you can say that. But your degree may not necessarily show MBA in healthcare. That is also possible. So because we are a liberal arts universities, options, we have huge number of paths the student can take. And it is not, we do not define it by saying that you have to do an MBA in healthcare in order to apply to a healthcare industry. So you might choose your conventional MBA in marketing or finance or whatever, and within that track, you might choose healthcare finance. That is possible, highly possible. There is another question, sir, where it's saying, sir, actually, if we have BTech mechanical engineering background, and if I'm planning to pursue MBA in AI, will there be much of a difficulty to cope up? Please, sir.
Not at all. Not at all. A classical example sitting right in front of you. I'm an engineer by from based on my graduation, but then I went out to do my MBA and then still continuing to talk about AI, even though when we did our MBA, we had nothing to do with AI at all. It was all our own intelligence, natural intelligence, not artificial though. But like what Professor Day did mention sometime back, it's AI. We are not just going to be a user. We are going to be a creator, and hence how exactly you are able to do it. So coming from mechanical engineering or any kind of background, I don't think it's going to have an impact in terms of whether you can do an MBA in AI at all. What is very important though is like you do your BTech in mechanical engineering from which university, and then also your MBA from which university or which college. I think these matters, not your areas of specialization, because once you get into the right college with the right set of faculties, the right set of industry connects, I think all the rest all will fall in place because it's again the question of the curriculum coming together and to ensure that no student is being set up for a failure. That's how the whole curriculum needs to be designed. So that is what I would encourage even the prospective students to look at, whether you're going to be enrolling for a BTech or your BBA. Ask questions related to the curriculum and ask how they are or how it's going to make you industry ready. And that's what I would worry about if I were in your place. But answering your question, not much of a difficulty at all. I mean, you're going to do your BTech in mechanical. So how difficult can an MBA be?
And in fact, the scenario that we are seeing is that AI startups are leave alone mechanical engineering. For example, I am not an engineer, but I used to lead a team of people who were designing the applications. Now you need sociologists, you need psychologists, you need designers from NID and other places, also in AI company, by the way. So it is not so. Therefore, AI is very, in that way, is very subject neutral, because human beings are not born with a particular subject in their brain. So we basically choose to specialization. This specialization is a human concept. It is not a concept which is given from divinity. We are supposed to be like the way it was Leonardo da Vinci. We should be knowing each and every area, and therefore what solution comes out is more integrated solution. And that is the way AI, if I'm not mistaken, sir, you can correct me. That is the way AI has been built. It has been built to mimic human beings with a higher efficiency and perfectionist model. So, if that is
It,
the case,
speed is going to be the
Speed,
essence with AI.
speed is the this thing which human beings would have done at a lower speed or with a lower with higher chances of error, and that has been corrected. So I think you should not bother about, even if we have people from other areas who want to do an MBA in AI, that should not be your botheration. So whatever you have learned in mechanical engineering, basically AI, we have to have mechanical engineers in order to build the AI to do the job of mechanical engineer. So
And also to adding to this, Nagesh, uh, like I said sometime back, we had a presentation, the semester end presentation on entrepreneurship by the students of the School of AI, right? Now, we had about 30 sets of presentations. Out of those 30, we had about 11 presentations which are more to do with healthcare. Now, they're all students of AI. I'm just turning the question around here. So they're all students of AI. They have no understanding of healthcare or how healthcare works, right? But I think that is more complicated uh, for them to get into a space which they have no background at all, but then start giving solutions to that particular area of study in which they have no basic understanding at all. So we had about 11, 12, I think, presentations based on that. And three of them were to the extent of saying that it's not going to be a reactive approach that AI is going to do. So, for example, you go and do a scan or a diagnosis or a CT scan or anything or an MRI. They are talking about a solution where it doesn't look at any kind of malignment or catches it after it comes, and then look at a reactive approach of treating it, but then saying that how is it that we can be proactive and then say, based on the data available, saying that no, these are all the areas where the malignment can actually occur, leading to the possible kind of scenarios. So the doctors or the analysts in turn are able to take more of a very preventive approach. So rather than looking at a reactive treatment approach, you're looking at a preventive approach coming in. So this coming from the first year, second year students of from the School of AI into a space I don't think they've ever even thought of, right? But I think that is what also happens with a liberal university like ours, where we have a student who's doing air, a student who's doing economics, who is also doing a minor in law, minor in economics, and the kind of stuff that they want to do, because you are, uh, like I said, by design itself, forced to go and explore yourself, push yourself outside of your comfort zone, and then see like how is it that you want to equip yourself. Of course, you will have your mentors, you'll have your faculties, you'll have people within the university, outside of the university to guide you. But ultimately, it is you who's going to choose that particular tool or the weapon to equip yourself with before getting into the internship or placements.
I think any more questions anyone in the audience has? We are, I think, running out of time.
Thank you, professors. As Sir said, participants, it's the final call for questions. So, if you have any questions, you can put in the chat box or Q&A. So, professors might answer. And meanwhile, sir, a quick final and question. Probably, and thank you for the wonderful dialogue. I think you have all beautifully collated all the key points where how the specializations matters for the business school, and also how SaiU is adapting to deliver with excellence. So, but if you can quickly summarize, like why a student can strongly, consider a school of business, probably for their undergrad, BBA program, and MBA. If you can have a quick summarize, that would be great, sir.
Uh, uh, are you asking that why they should choose Sai University Business School, or
Yes, that would be
why
the
they
question. And if that can be, separately answered for BBA, undergrad, and why MBA program at School of, Business at SaiU.
okay. Dr. Shriram, I'm taking the opportunity to first answer, then you can also answer this thing. The first point is I would like to say, see, irrespective, I would never like to go and do you know, kind of advertisements that normally business schools, private business schools do in order to attract students. But I would like to say, if I were in your place, what would be my criterion? And then from that, you can judge whether you should join Sai University or not. First thing, I think one looks when studying, choosing a business school, whether you are a student or a parent or whatever, is the quality of faculty who is going to teach you. The first criteria. What is the exposure of the faculty who are going to prepare you for the School of Business? Do they themselves have that sort of exposure? So now so you obviously would have heard the background of mine and Dr. Sriram. So we both come from business schools, which are considered to be the best business schools in the world, in the top 10, and also having worked with some of the best organizations in the world and having long industrial background and academic background. Uh, when we offer a suggestion to you or direction or teaching, people like us offer, it means great in terms of the quality that you can expect from a business school, right? And I think that is the first thing. So when even if you ask me or ask Dr. Sriram, like what do we remember about our business school, it is the faculty members that we remember. IIM Ahmedabad or MIT Sloan does not stand as a building. It is because of those great faculty members we are what we are. So they gave us the context, they gave us the knowledge, they gave us the openness to question things. That's why we are the way we are. And therefore, same philosophy exists for us in Sai University Business School also. We have collect we have a collection of the best battery of lecturers and faculty members who have seen it and done it in reality. And that's why we are the best, I think. And second thing, that criteria that should matter for a business school is that what is the vastness or the diversity of areas that I can explore? Because as Dr. Sriram was saying, AI, and I said also, AI is subject neutral and gender neutral and domain neutral. So if we are trying to build a model which is going to replicate the diversity of knowledge that a human being can have, we have to have people from all diverse areas. And therefore, the challenge of the new age managers is having a knowledge in an all-round 360-degree kind of a knowledge so that I can look at the overall scenario and implement what Dr. Sriram is saying in terms of the taking those right decisions and ethical decisions, which becomes now important. Now, in taking the right decisions or interpreting it in the correct way, I cannot be a very niche domain expert and expect to give decisions which are well-rounded. And therefore, the focus of our business school is that let our students study AI, healthcare, and even maybe a bit of law, or let our students study AI, healthcare, or even a bit of psychology. Now, imagine a university which gives you a business school, which gives you the diversity of schools where you can go and study. You can study in the law school some of your courses. You can go to the AI school and take some of the courses. We have a computer and a data science school, school of computer and data science, where you can go and do courses in data science and analytics. We have School of Arts and Sciences where you can pursue specific courses in economics and psychology which are related to you, or even neuroscience. You can go and study neuroscience, which is an exciting area, and in combination with AI. So there are different combinations that are possible, and because we are a liberal arts university, it is absolutely flexible in terms of your range of courses. And I think these are the two things I would say make us a very special business school, which is equipped to handle the challenges of the uh, current age and the future. Unlike many other conventional schools who have still not progressed to that level and still in the very conventional model. That's from me, Dr. Sriram.
Same thing. I would also probably resonate the same thing. I definitely would not campaign for just the university that I'm working with, but something that I've also encouraged my own daughter to do. She's doing a first year of undergrad, so even to her, what I've actually been telling is look at the list of faculties, look at their achievements, look at their exposure first, and then see if there is going to be an actual learning that's happening rather than just the bookish learning, which you can even go to the library and pick up any books or offline, even your ebooks. You just go pick it up from there and then start doing it. But the learning comes from the people who have actually been hands-on, been there, done that. I think that is a kind of exposure that is definitely a must. And then also the curriculum, which I actually did mention even during the presentation, is now whether you want to choose SaiU or not, that's purely your decision. But any business school that you want to engage with, please ensure that you even ask for the curriculum that is in place, or how frequently the curriculum gets updated in terms of a delivery, so that you know whether it's definitely going to be hands-on or whether you're going to be kind of lag when it comes to the learning curve once you start getting placed and stuff like that. Uh, but that's all. Otherwise, rest of the points I definitely resonate with what Dr. Dey said. And we having the kind of schools that we had currently, we are standing at about 8 schools, including the School of Business, and then next year we are looking at adding 3 more schools, at least 2 definitely, and one more school coming in. The kind of exposure that the students would get to choose from, or the kind of play area that the students would get to choose from, I think that's going to be the biggest advantage that they would be given at SaiU. I mean, since we are at a very nascent stage, like I said, we are still at infancy, so you get the liberty of picking and choosing and then trying to play with your own, designing your own curriculum in terms of what are the kind of minors that you want to take and then how you want to position yourself. And entrepreneurship is definitely a big thing that we also do encourage. And then we're also in the process of setting up an incubation center. So hopefully things work out next semester or start of next year. We have our incubation center in place with possible angel investors and all of that also tied up. So it's purely for you to decide how you want to do. And I think Sai University gives you the platform and pursuing the passion in whichever area of line that you want to pursue. I think that is what kind of differentiates Sai University from many other universities. But again, I would definitely encourage the parents and the students, prospective students, to look at the faculty members and the curriculum first.
Thank you, professors. That was a very crisp summary, and I think there are no more questions from participants end. So we are in the final verge of completion. So participants, I think if you're an applicant or you're still yet to apply, so you can very well apply at science.edu.in. So, and if you're already applied, probably get in touch with our counselors. They will guide you with the next process. And importantly, if you want to have any one-on-one discussion with the School of Business faculty or Dean or Anand sir, you can very well write to the counselors. The counselors will help you connect with the professors as well. Yeah. So, and the recordings will be live soon in the YouTube channel. So probably you'll receive a link for the same. So, and spread the word to your friends if they are very much interested towards this multidisciplinary and business programs, both at undergraduate, postgraduate level. Do spread the word. So we would be happy to receive it. And thank you, professors. Thank you for your wonderful time and excellent dialogue and conversation. Thank you. Thank you.